The last furniture van had left. The tenant, a young man with a crepe band round his hat, walked for the last time through the empty rooms to make sure that nothing had been left behind. No, nothing had been forgotten, nothing at all. He walked out into the front hall, firmly determined never again to think of all that had happened to him in these rooms. And all at once, his eyes fell on half a sheet of foolscap, which somehow had gotten wedged between the wall and the floorboards. This paper was covered in writing, evidently the writing of one or more persons. Some of the writing was written quite legibly with pen and ink, while others were scribbled with a lead pencil. Here and there, even a red pencil had been used. It was an account of everything that had happened to him in the last 2 years of his life. All these things which he had made up his mind to forget had been noted down. It was a slice of human life on half a sheet of foolscap. He detached the paper. It was a piece of scribbling paper, yellow and shining like the sun. Heading the list was a woman's name. It was the most beautiful name in the world to him, as it seemed, for it was the name of his fiancée. Underneath was written bank. This was where his work lay. His sacred work to which he owed bread, home, and wife, the foundations of life. But a pen had been drawn through the word, for the bank had failed, and although he had eventually found another berth, it was not until after a brief period of anxiety and uneasiness. The next entries were flower shop and livery stable. They related to his betrothal when he had plenty of money in his pockets. Then came furniture dealer and paper hanger. They were furnishing their house. Forwarding agents. They were moving into it. The box office of the Opera House, number 5050. They were newly married and went to the opera on Sunday evenings. The most enjoyable hours of their lives were spent here, for they had to sit quite still while their souls met in the joy and the harmony of the fairyland on the other side of the curtain. Then followed the name of a man, crossed out. He'd been a friend of his youth, a man who had risen high on the social scale but who fell, spoiled by success, fell irremediably and had to leave the country.
So unstable is fortune.
Now something new entered the lives of husband and wife. The next entry was in a lady's hand. Nurse. What nurse? Of course. The kind woman with the big cloak and the sympathetic face, who walked with a soft football, but who never went into the drawing room, but walked straight down the passage, down the corridor, into the bedroom. Underneath her name was written Dr. L. And now for the first time a relative appeared on the list. Mama. That was his mother-in-law, who had kept away discreetly so as not to disturb their newly found happiness, but was glad to come now when she was needed. A great number of entries in red and blue pencil followed. Servants' registry office. The maid had left and a new one had to be engaged. The chemist's. Life was growing dark. The dairy. Milk had to be ordered. Sterilized milk. Butcher, the grocer, etc. The affairs of the house were being conducted by telephone. It argued that the mistress was not at her post.
What do you think?
No, she wasn't, for she was laid up. He could not read what followed, for it grew dark before his eyes.
I love you. I love you.
He might have been a drowning man trying to see through salt water. And yet, there it was written plainly enough, undertaker, a large coffin and a small one. The word dust was added in parentheses. was the last word of the whole record. It ended with dust, and that is exactly what happens in life. He took the yellow paper, kissed it, folded it carefully, and put it in his pocket. In 2 minutes, he had lived again through 2 years of his life. But he was not bowed down as he left the house. On the contrary, he held his head high, like a happy and proud man, for he knew the best things life has to bestow had been given to him, and he pitied all of those from whom they are withheld.